Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. We will call this work session to order. And I will start off with page 10, contract with Llewellyn Technology. And Mr. Dorsey.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the County Council. The administration is requesting approval of a contract with Llewellyn Technologies to provide electrical and arc training for our electricians who work both at property management and the Department of Public Works. The amount of the contract is for not to exceed $84,000 over a 1 year plus 4 1-year renewals. There was a question in terms of the number of people would be attending the training the first year. There may have been a misunderstanding. The question asked whether there were 4 people going the first year. Could there have been more going in order to lower the price? And the answer is yes. The 4 was only responding to the 4 people coming from property management. We are in fact planning a full class of 15 to include people from Department of Public Works, and so we would be getting the advantage of the lower price.
Thank you, Mr. Dorsey. Any questions on Llewellyn Technologies contract? Safety training is very important. Moving right along to page 12 for on-call roofing services.
Yes, on-call roofing services is request for approving 2 contracts, J&K Contracting and Phoenix Contracting Services, Inc. The amount is for a 5-year period, total 5-year periods, 1 initial year and then 4-year renewal options, and the possibility of a 4-month extension at the end of any of those terms. The not to exceed amount for the full 5-year, 4-month period is $2,835,201 between those 2 contracts.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Dorsey, as always, I love the numbers, how we come up to $2,835,201.39.
That's not me. I usually round things off. But other people, they do a calculation, they put in the exact amount, and sometimes it actually comes in, they putting in the cents. Come on, it's an estimate.
Mr. Dorsey, when you do your rounding, do you round up or down?
The appropriate mathematical approach.
Okay, no questions. Moving on to page 15, agreement with Honeywell International.
And this is a request for approval of a contract with Honeywell International to install a building automation system in the Pikesville Library/Senior Center. The total cost would be $32,606. This will allow us to be able to better control the temperatures. Included in this contract is some training for individuals who are building users to be able to adjust settings in terms of temperature, as well as staff to be able to come out and make some corrections. Previously to this, the previous contract that was in place in the previous equipment, we actually had to go out, and there was 1 person from the vendor that would have to come in. This contract does allow for in-house people, even the people right there in the building, to make the appropriate adjustments. So there's going to be some training included in terms of how to do that.
Good. Any questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Dorsey. We'll move on to page 20, Ms. Andrea Van Arsdale, and a bat for the Department of Planning grants. How you doing today, Ms. Van Arsdale? Good, good.
Good afternoon. The administration is requesting approval of a general fund budget appropriation transfer totaling $50,000 from the Insurance Contributions Program to the Organizational Contributions General Grant Program to cover expenditures in excess of FY 2018 budgetary appropriations for grants provided to Leaderships Through Athletics Incorporated for $40,000 and the Perry Hall Recreation and Parks Council, Angel Park, for $10,000.
Are there any questions? Speaking for my colleague who's not here, it's all, he appreciates Perry Hall. Anything you're doing for Perry Hall. All right, thank you very much, Ms. Van
Thank you.
Arsdale. Page 24, another bat, and Mr. Arnold Jablin. Rats.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, we're here for a budget transfer of $255,000. Rats, you're right. This is to cover the expense that we incurred and project to incur for the end of fiscal year 18, which not only covers the 4 additional neighborhoods that we've decided to treat, but also for demolitions and other types of emergencies that we are required to do as a result of judicial orders, such as plumbing, electrical, and raising.
Mr. Jablon, let me start off by saying how much we certainly appreciate everything the county has been doing in terms of the rat eradication. I remember when the citizens came here and they had all the T-shirts on and they had the no rat signs, and they basically told us about a problem that they were having. And then we, as a good government, decided to go out and double and triple our efforts to fix their problems. And since that time, we've continued on in terms of taking care or eradicating the rats. But I guess the point I wanted to make was that was not something we foresaw. That was not something we budgeted for. The citizens came out, they had a need, and we responded like we should. And that is the reason why we're transferring this money now. So I certainly appreciate it. Any more questions? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jablon, I'm very grateful. I'm glad that that this program has had the success that it's had. I'm very happy to have 2 more communities included as part of the pilot program, and it is definitely working. But more importantly, we still need to keep educating people, and I think that's the main goal here, is to educate the public. So thank you for all that your staff has done to make this a success.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
Mr. Jablon, you, I believe it was in budget hearings, you said you were proud of this program, and I believe my statement was that you should be. The issue was, I believe, much greater than anticipated, unless or even known about, unless you go into some of these alleys and you see some of the conditions and the sheer amount of rodent infestation that we had. This program is working. I've mentioned to you on numerous occasions that our office has gone from multiple calls a day on rat complaints to maybe 1 or 2 calls a month. So that, to me, is enough evidence to know that this program is working. The community leaders have expressed that it is working. And to me, this is just an example of how government and community can really work together, because we're not going to take care of this problem without participation with the neighbors. And I think that the component of public outreach in the program that you and your team has built has been a huge component to the success of the program, because people are actually talking now about appropriate behaviors in terms of trash and pet waste. So let's keep it going, and I'm very supportive of this budget transfer, and look forward to FY19 and keeping it moving.
Could I just add, well, I would like to take credit for all of this. I'm not. The appropriate credit really should be to the Mr. Dorsey in the Budget Office, Mr. Holman, Administrative Officer, and even more important to Lionel Van Domelen, who's Chief of Code Enforcement, and all of the inspectors who are out there daily, walking the streets, walking the alleys, and making sure that Baltimore County is a safe place and a good place to live.
Please extend our thank you to those folks.
Any more questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Always a pleasure. We'll move on to page 26. Mr. Steve Walsh. O'Brien and Gear Engineers.
Good
Okay.
afternoon. Welcome back. Mr. Walsh was going to be able to make it to the meeting, so I'm pitch hitting for him regarding these two matters that you have for Public Works. The
You're
first,
not Steve Walsh?
no, I'm not Steve Walsh.
Oh, okay. Well,
Fiscal Matter 6 is a request for approval to increase the not-to-exceed limit for sanitary sewer rehabilitation design services with O'Brien and Gear Engineers. Currently, the county has 4 contracts for sanitary sewer rehabilitation services, which include design and for pipelines and manholes, and also in terms of looking at erosion plans and so forth. This is one of the 4. The 2 of them have already had an increase in their not-to-exceed limit. This one would increase O'Brien and Gear from their original $4 million limit to $6 million, a $2 million increase. This is necessary as they have already begun to experience a lot of the cost of repair. They had already encumbered by the middle of this month almost $4 million, at this time on May 16th. So this is to allow us to continue getting work from them as needed by extending the contract term is for a total of 8 years, but we have several years left to go.
any questions, comments? Okay. Page 29.
Page 29 is a request for approval of a budget appropriation transfer to the Highways Bureau there in the Department of Public Works, an increase of $1.5 million. The funds would become available from the insurance contributions program there, and part of Office of Budget and Finance, and it would be transferred to cover the cost of storm emergencies that came up this year. Although everyone can basically remember, we didn't have any huge storms like we've had, but we did have 14 storm events, and even late into April, we were having events. And so that there's a cost to that in terms of the payments that we have to make to the vendors who help with snow removal and other costs. So in light of that, we're requesting approval of a $1.5 million transfer, as I said, to the Department of Public Works, Bureau of Highways.
Yes, Councilman Crandall.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dorsey, just it is off the topic, but I think given the topic of this bat, we should take time to recognize and pray for our neighbors to the southwest who in Ellicott City that were just devastated once again. And also thank you to our Department of Public Works folks and our public safety people that were out this weekend with with Sunday's storm, and I understand we had contractors out as well in not the very best of conditions, but clearing roadways and making people safe and getting their basements pumped out. So thanks to all those folks for their work on Sunday.
I believe that's Mr. Walsh is tied up with that as well right now. That's why he's not.
But you're
able to
subbing
make-
in for him.
I'm subbing in for him.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could just echo Councilman Crandall's comments as well. I just saw on the news the National Guardsman was found. Unfortunately, passed away in the Patapsco River, so it's confirmed fatality there. Steve Walsh has been exceptional. I've probably texted the poor guy 100 times, and he's been amazing. And Don Waller, our new county executive, got in the car and was really hands-on, so I do appreciate that. And the public works crews were unbelievable, working around the clock, like clearing lots of debris. Obviously, our police and our firefighters went around pumping out tons and tons of people's basements. All throughout the night, and the police and our first responders. And it's truly, it is local government right in action when you need them. They're there. So nothing but exceptional call out for all our public safety and our crews and stuff. They've been fantastic. And I look forward to I know we're working on this refuge disposal right now, which will be great. I know people are really asking questions. Hey, what do I do with all my basement stuff that tons and tons of basements flooded? And so I appreciate the administration's efforts and everybody working together. So thanks.
Thank you.
These are the times when people can certainly appreciate their government and really get a good value for the taxes that they pay. Thank you very much, Mr. Dorsey.
Thank you.
Speaking of government and taxes and getting a good bargain, I'd like to call up the good Dr. Gregory Branch, page 31. Dr. Branch, you are certainly everywhere. First, you popped up in Councilman Crandall's bedroom. Then you popped up in my office.
Chairman Jones, you were not supposed to tell it to anyone.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, then. Good afternoon.
Just for the record, he popped up on my TV
Oh, okay.
in the living room.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, hit it for the door. All right.
Okay, then. The administration is requesting a contract with People Encouraging People to provide case management to adolescent youth with mental health issues who are transitioning to the adult public health services. These services include case management, daily support in the residence, overnight support, medication monitoring, independent living, skills training, budgeting, shopping, how to ride public transportation, and activities of daily living like housekeeping and hygiene. What happens is that when someone's a youth who has severe mental health issues, transitioning to the adult public mental health system sometimes can be challenging, and so therefore they can get lost to follow-up. And we have to ensure that they don't get lost to follow-up because that becomes a major, major problem. This contract is for $64,000 per fiscal year, 5 years with additional 1-year renewal option.
Any questions? Okay, Dr. Branch, we'll move on to page 35.
Okay.
Contract with People Encouraging People.
Okay, so I guess I may have done it the opposite way. Okay, I'm sorry. So this one's going to be for Prologue. The administration is requesting approval of a contract with Prologue in the amount of $88,000 for recovery support services. And these support services are for folks who are recovering from substance abuse issues for peer support, coaching, self-help, life skills, and most importantly, social activities. When someone is recovering or in the recovery phase, one of the things that's extraordinarily important is have social activities. So when a holiday is coming up, giving them something to do, going out bowling, they can do bingo, They can play cards, whatever the social issues are, because those are the times that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. And so therefore, we've got to keep them very, very busy so they don't go back to those drugs and stuff like that. So this is for Prologue, and this Prologue program is on Milford Mill Road in the county. It's for $88,000 per fiscal year, 5 years with one renewal time.
That would be in my district, Dr. Branch, so we certainly appreciate it. Any questions or comments? But it's clearly for all residents of Baltimore County, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And we do have these same programs on both sides of the county. So it's not only there. I know we have one in Dundalk on my own, so we definitely have that there.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Branch. Page 17, Mr. George Soros.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have Whit Tantliff, our budget director, make this presentation for the school system, and I'll be available for questions as well.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Chairman Jones and council members. In front of you, you'll find a budget appropriation transfer request for BCPS for $9.7 million. The BCPS budget consists of 13 separate appropriations prescribed by the Maryland Department of Education. Based on close monitoring of expenditures through the year, our current full-year expense projections show a surplus, but with shortfalls in some activities and surpluses in others. Budget appropriation transfer is requested to align funds by category with projected year-end expenses and to implement our operating plan, realign expenses in schools, provide professional development for the new learning management system implementation, provide for increased non-public placements in special education, provide bottled water in aging school buildings and complete improvements at the Pikesville Middle School, Kenwood Administrative Building, and Old Catonsville Elementary School Building. Pikesville Middle School is getting a new dance studio. Kenwood Admin Building will get additional office space, while the Catonsville project provides for modest updates, including adequate electrical supply, offices for e-learning, operations and maintenance, satellite facilities, continuity of operations office, training facility for IT, and a child find center. The project will also provide warehouse space for our aggressive schedule over the next few years of new school construction, replacement, and renovations. The county will use some of the space for the Department of Recreation and Parks and to provide a gymnasium for community use. And this is a project where we spent money last year and this year. Funds are available due to savings in salaries from higher than expected turnover and retirements and from lower than expected energy costs. Thank you.
Councilman Quirk.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a very brief, specific question on the administrative building in Catonsville. Obviously, we have that agreement with Rec and Parks. We were looking at replacing the gym floor. Did that happen, the floor itself?
Yes, I believe that almost everything is completed or will be soon completed before the summer usage period starts.
And just a follow-up question on that is obviously we had a huge amount of flooding coming down Frederick Road. Do you know if that building got damaged again?
It was not at this, as of this morning. I understand that the new Catonsville Elementary has had about $150,000 in content damage, and that is covered by our self-insurance program through the Maryland Association of Boards of Ed, with the exception of a $5,000 deductible amount.
Is that the only damage? And so the old building's okay?
Yes.
And but the new
Yes.
one had okay, thanks.
But I will get back. I'll double check on the floor and just let you know for sure when that'll be done.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilwoman Bevins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two questions. For instructional textbooks, are we still purchasing textbooks?
We do purchase actual textbooks as well as electronic content, depending on the subject matter and what the specific goal is. But there are textbooks with associated electronic content that are used throughout the system.
Okay, and my second question is, I see a $550,000 transfer for replacement of technology equipment for schools. Is that on top of this stat?
That refers to audio-visual equipment, the projectors you'll see in the classroom. So it's normal replacement and where we need to put new systems in where they didn't exist before.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may. Just to be clear, I'm looking at the auditor's notes on the use of funds. Just to clarify, this technology, Chesapeake Lighthouse High School, 800,000. This is outside of STAT. This is like modems and
Correct. Infrastructure type of
Got it.
investments.
okay. Thank you.
Yes.
$2.4 million in maintenance of plant and equipment program for additional improvements at Pikesville Middle, and would that include the dance studio that you were talking about?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
The majority of that money is for the Catonsville project, which is about $1.5 million of that total.
Okay. And it's $500,000 for bottled water?
Approximately, yes, for the year in all the schools that are using bottled water.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Page 39, Fire Chief Carol Price.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Chief
Jones.
Price, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Members of the council, the administration is requesting an approval of a general fund budget appropriation transfer totaling $195,000 from the insurance contributions program to the fire department to fund higher than anticipated retiree payouts of $115,000 and attended status payouts of $80,000. And the attended status is parochial funds for the Baltimore County Volunteer Firemen's Association for their medic attended funds. That's part of, we have a disbursement policy and agreement with the volunteers that delineates the $80,000 be available, and need to ensure that those funds are available for them to continue to provide the services that they do.
Chief Price, as you know, I love the fire department,
I do know that, and I appreciate it.
and you're doing a wonderful job. But maybe you didn't hear that schools just asked for $9.7 million. 190-some thousand seems like. I'm just, I'm not saying. Any more questions or comments? All right, Chief Price, thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Now we move on to page 41. Miss Amy Grassi. How you doing today, Miss Grassi? Good.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Resolutions 44 and 45 authorize the county to accept donations of parcels of land that have been used for the construction of the new traffic circle at Tufton and Worthington Avenues. The construction is completed. There was a ribbon cutting not long ago when the traffic circle was opened. The construction was completed under letters of permission, and the project was initiated at the request of the community and with the property owners on board. The Resolution 44 accepts a .65 acre parcel of land from 3500 Belmont Road LLC, and the estimated fair market value of that parcel was $14,448. And Resolution 45 covers a 0.868 acre parcel of land from Rolling Ridge Estate 2 LLC. Estimated value of that donation is $21,553.
Councilman Quirk?
Just, first of all, thank you always for your work. A little unrelated question, but since I have you here, Academy Heights is all completed, right? As far as the
Yes.
right-of-ways and
Yes, sir.
thanks.
No more questions, comments? Thank you very much, Ms. Grassi.
Thank you.
Now we move on to Arts and Science Grants by Ms. Rhonda Cohen.
Good
Good
afternoon,
afternoon.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council. The administration is requesting approval of 46 grants totaling $3,891,660 to nonprofit cultural organizations that serve Baltimore County residents. These funds were approved by the council during the fiscal year 19 budget process. Last year, Baltimore County residents visited organizations we fund more than 1.3 million times to see a museum exhibit, enjoy a play or a concert, or participate in engaging history and science programs. On behalf of the members of the Arts and Sciences Commission and our arts and cultural community, thank you for the council's support of these grants for fiscal year 19.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comment? Thank you very much, Ms. Krause. Now we move on to bills, and we'll start with page 8, Bill 52-18.
Bill 52-18 prohibits the unsupervised access to a firearm by a minor. I've called this Leah's Law. 2 years ago, I received a phone call that my then 14-year-old granddaughter Leah was accidentally shot while at a friend's house. This was certainly the result of children exhibiting poor judgment. Leah was one of the fortunate ones. She received immediate and exceptional care, had a supportive family around her, but 2 years later, Leah is still recovering from the trauma of that day, emotionally and physically. This bill is designed to keep guns out of the hands of children by tightening the current state law and requiring gun owners to keep guns locked away from children who are under the age of 18. Day after day, we hear about the tragic school shootings. We can save the life of one child or save a child from the trauma that my granddaughter suffered. I would consider this bill a success, and I would ask my colleagues to support it. Basically, it changes the age from 16 to 18. Thank you.
Thank you. Have any comments? I know we have a few speakers. Yara? Shake?
Thank you, Councilwoman Almond, for putting forth this bill. As some of you may know, my family is very involved in smart gun prevention and legislation, advocating for it. So thank you. And you are right. If it saves one life, it's worth it. I am not here representing myself, though, today. I am representing Senator Jim Brochin, who adds his voice to Delegate Heddleman's in support of this bill. His record is one of smart gun regulation since 2009, and if he was here, he would offer his support. And I just want to, again, thank you for putting this forth.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Give me 1 second, please. Sheldon Laskin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. I'd like to commend Councilwoman Almond for introducing this very common sense public health and safety measure to reduce the threat of homicides, suicides, and accidental killings of children, often by children. We know behavioral science teaches us that the human brain is not fully developed until roughly the mid-20s, that young people have poor impulse control, and they don't have a very good assessment of the likely consequences of their action. Most of the school shootings that have been perpetrated in this country recently have been done by high school students, 14 to 18 roughly. So it only makes sense to extend the age at which access to firearms is restricted to 18. And again, I'd like to commend Vicki Almond for introducing this very common sense public health and safety measure.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Laskin. Thank you.
Jessica Clayton. And then Johnny O, you can come up to the on-deck circle.
Hello, Mr. Chairman and council members. I am here speaking as a citizen. I'm a mother of 3 children, ages 6, 7, and 10. I'm a resident of District 5. I live in the Stoneleigh neighborhood of Towson. I always ask when my children go to play in someone's home if there are guns in the home and how they're stored. The Gifford Law Center website cites a study that shows us that 73% of children 9 and younger know the location of guns in their parents' home, and 36% have handled those firearms. But meanwhile, most of the parents think that the children don't even know. We don't know. And the only way to keep our children safe is through safe storage. I can keep my children safe in my own home by not having guns, firearms there. But I need help from you, from our government, to make sure that they're safe in other people's homes and dictate standards for safety storage. According to the Children's Firearm Alliance, in 2017, 132 kids 0 to 17 were killed and 216 injured from unintentional child shootings resulting from negligent storage. That's the unintentional ones. As the previous speaker talked about, that doesn't even mention the school shootings that have terrorized and killed so many with children using their parents' guns that were not secured safely. As a person, I'm not even sure why this is even a question. But because it is, and because Vicki Almond has proposed this legislation, I urge you to support it, and I also expect bipartisan support of this common sense gun safety legislation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes. Johnny O, you're next. And then on the on-deck circle, Howard Libet. You can come up and sit right there if you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Pleased to just very briefly testify personally to amplify the written testimony already provided to you, expressing my support of the legislation introduced before you. As was mentioned, the proposed legislation expands on existing state law, providing some important improvement locally by expanding the definition to cover more children in Baltimore County. As a former parent, as a former teacher, as a current parent, as someone who's watched gun violence spin out of control in this country, I've become convinced it's time that we push all our lawmakers to enact every common sense gun reform possible. It's why I was proud to march alongside our young people in Baltimore's March for Our Lives, and it's what I encouraged my children to do when I was a teacher, to take action on the issues that they care about. And I'm so proud of our young people for standing up and raising their voice. In the absence of much-needed reform at the national level by our members of Congress, we can and we should do our part here at the local level. And Councilwoman, I applaud you for your efforts here locally. We are never wrong, and I support landing on the side of caution for the sake of our children and do support this common sense measure. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Olszewski, thank you for your support of Leia's Law. I greatly appreciate it. I would like to ask you, though, about your prior votes when you were delegate against the Maryland assault weapons ban. Have you changed your mind?
Councilwoman, thank you for the question. I appreciate the opportunity to respond. As has been reported by multiple outlets, I have said that it's a vote that I have changed my mind on, and I think it's important that leaders admit that. It's something that's far lacking in today's society is leaders who admit that, and I hope that you would agree that another good thing that leaders do is rather than reach back to the past, that they welcome people who evolve, particularly on these important issues, and welcome them to that side of the debate and help us work together to move forward so that we can have common sense reform and safety for the future. You know, I am focused on the future and the safety of our children, as I know you are with this piece of legislation.
Well, thank you for your support, and thank you for explaining that. We appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Howard Libet. I'm here representing the Baltimore Jewish Council. The Baltimore Jewish Council has a long history of supporting common sense legislation related to guns and safety in our homes, our workplaces, our communities, and our places of worship. The proposal now from Councilwoman Allman before the County Council would seek to expand on existing state law to further improve the safety of our children and teenagers with respect to guns in homes. Given the events we've seen nationally and here in Maryland, and here in this county even, we think it's a wise addition for Baltimore County. Hopefully, if the council passes this, it will inspire a similar expansion across the state, as I know Delegate Hedelman spoke earlier today about having proposed. The Baltimore Jewish Council today comes before you to urge the council to vote in support of this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lippett.
Thank you, sir. And now I'm going to, you know, I guess love having this computer up here, and I'd urge everyone to get one because, you know, the beauty is when people say things, you can guess when it doesn't sound right, you think, that's not what I think I remember. You can Google it, and then the sun will pop up, give you a little prop pan. The sun will pop up, and it'll say, Brochin has been a friend to the NRA. In his recent commentary, Fairman D. Brandender tries to portray Senator Brochin as a strong advocate for gun violence prevention when nothing could be further from the truth. And this is printed with the Baltimore Sun April the 6th, 2018. And it goes on, and I'm not going to read the entire article, but I find it very interesting. I didn't make it up. But anyway, they have some cases and points here where they don't think he's been very friendly with supporting safe gun legislation, but in fact, very supportive of the NRA.
Does it, Susan, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
And I always appreciate when people come in and testify, but when they're testifying and bring up other people's names, they should know the facts. Do you have the amount that Senator Boshin has received from the NRA in his campaign finance report?
I don't have that in front of me.
Because it's listed.
In the words
Nope.
in Google, if I spend 2 seconds, I'm sure I could find it.
No.
Well, I
No.
don't, no.
No, she's done.
I rather not. I mean, I'm just reading an article here, and I'm sure, listen, I understand that people have a lot of conversions during campaigning. I get it. So I'm not going to get into a lot of where and when and how. I just read because it was interesting to me when I heard what you said, and I just looked it up because it's not what I remember. But what I saw is, I guess put it out there. So we'll move on to page 1.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
He got
I'd just like
13, it's 13,000.
I'd just like to thank everyone who came to testify in support of Leia's Law. It's greatly appreciated. I hope my colleagues will support me in this.
Councilman Catch.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since Yara's a constituent of mine, I would like to hear a 2-minute response.
Well, you could do that if you were the chair, but you're not.
You're not.
So
What,
you
she's
can.
not my constituent?
Well, she is your constituent, but we're not going to get into a point and counterpoint. I took a liberty as the chair. That's what I said, and then I'm done with it. Now we're moving forward to page 1. If you want me to skip past your bill 4618, we could do that, but that's up to you. Chair is your, yes.
Oh, okay.
Page 1, 4618.
Sure, Bill 4618 is legislation regarding breweries in rural conservation zones. The two parties are currently involved in negotiations, so I would just like to leave the bill in. Hopefully they'll come to some conclusion and possibly amend the bill so that everyone is happy with the end result.
Good. Page 2, Bill 48-18. Mr. Catch?
Yes, sure. In Cockeysville, on Cockeysville Road, there is a school called Stages, which basically they have sound studios. They have a small hall where people can perform, give concerts, etc. They also have an outdoor facility which accommodates fewer than 100 people. So anyhow, they came to me asking me they'd like to have a facility similar to Meriwether Post where, well, actually the 500 limit is what I suggested, so that's what's in the bill. And the reason I have 500 is because their parking facilities will accommodate the vehicles to serve 500 people. The community associations, we contacted them. They were all fine with the legislation. And then less than a week ago, there was a small concert that was held in their existing outdoor facility. And some of the neighbors weren't too happy about the loud music. So So anyhow, it's up there, but I understand the traffic concerns, hours. I'm going to have amendments dealing with hours and the sound, the decibels that'll be allowed for this concert venue to have. So it's a work in progress. As I said, the community associations were fine until a small concert was held.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just kind of a little confused. Are you saying you're for your bill, or are you against your bill, or are you for amending the bill? I'm a little confused on this one.
Well, everything was fine until about 3 days ago when there was a small concert and a few people in the neighborhood were upset about it. So I think that we can amend the bill so that it will be acceptable.
Within this is coming up for a vote soon.
Yeah,
We haven't
Monday.
seen any amendments or anything, or when do you think you'll have this to us?
55 decibels will be the sound. The hours will be 7 at night to 11 at night, Monday through Friday, and on weekends until 11 o'clock at night.
And this
So they could,
the 55 decibel number, is that something that you've been?
That is state law.
And have you talked to the administration too? Are they working with you on this?
No.
Okay.
And this is simply restricted to the Lutherville, Timonium, Cockeysville area. As you read the bill, you'll see that.
we have a speaker, Mr. Chris Mudd.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, members of the council, for letting me speak this afternoon. My name is Chris Mudd. I'm here representing Mr. Rob Smith, who is the owner and the founder of Stages Music Arts. Here speaking in support of Bill 4718. Stages is a facility that was a labor of love for Mr. Smith, who's been a music lover for as long as he can remember. His father owned a radio station when he was a child. And from his perspective, he's always been into music. His vision for Stages was born out of the fact that Baltimore did not really have any singles place that was dedicated to world-class audio and video equipment and recording abilities, music education, as well as high-quality performance space. So with that vision, that's what he built. And he built it about 2 years ago on Cockeysville Road. His motto is learn, record, perform. That's basically in a nutshell what they do at Stages. It's a beautiful facility, cleaned up a part of Cockeysville Road that hasn't been in great shape, and this particular bill came along when he purchased a piece of property that's right next to his current facility. That's currently home to a place that is basically a laydown yard for road construction signage. So all the signs that you see that come up during road construction, when they're not up on the roads, they're laid down on this piece of property. That particular tenant is no longer going to be operating there. He's going to be cleaning up this space, and we came to the councilman to try and request this bill to have this amphitheater use. And when we came to the councilman, he sent us out to the community. We met with the community a number of times. Councilman Catch came to the property a number of times, and we put together this bill. We worked together on, from the original version of the bill to some language that made its way in with regard to distance from residential zones, as well as the fact that it, as the councilman pointed out, is limited basically to his district with being in the Hunt Valley Timonium Master Plan. I've since spoken to Councilman Catch about the potential for new amendments. I do express a willingness to work with the councilman to try and come up with some amendments that we could all agree upon. And I'll be talking to you more for sure, but I would look for the council's support for the bill as is, certainly, but even with amendments that we can work with the councilman on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
Councilman Quirk.
Yeah, while we have Mr. Mudd up here, any comments on the breweries bill? I mean, I know Mr. Cott said he was going to pull it. Came out on the stage saying he was going to pull it. Now he's going to keep it in. But are there any comments? That's interesting.
Well, a comment I would have is that the neighbors are working together, and that's actually what happened on this particular bill. When we came to try and get this use, Councilman Catch sent us out to work with the neighbors, and we did, and it worked out great. And so now we have the brewery legislation, and I understand that the neighbors are speaking there too, and hopefully they can work it out together, and the bill would be pulled. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I want clarity on that. Mr. Petticord, can you tell me if that bill was pulled or not?
I was advised that the bill had been withdrawn.
Pardon me?
I was advised the bill had been withdrawn.
Okay.
And
That's what I was advised to as well.
May I ask a question? And who told you it was pulled?
Your legislative aide.
That's correct. Well, he was incorrect.
Moving right along. Page number 5. No. Page 3. Bill 4818, Mr. Catch.
Thank you very much,
You're on a
Mr.
roll.
Chairman. 2 years ago, the state legislature passed legislation to allow the counties to give up to 20% tax credit for senior veterans. And I did put this bill in about a year ago and withdrew it, and to work on it and to zero in on it so that we have something that is workable. The legislation that you have in front of you for fiscal year 19 has it's a 10% credit for that 1 year with a $300 max, and from 2020 on, it's a 20% credit, max $500. Now, the state legislation limits the program to 5 years. So, we're under that's all the state has authorized. So we would have to terminate this legislation should the state not extend it. The fiscal note on the bill is $115,000 for 2019, 2020, $195,000 and $200,000 for the year 2021 and on. Oh, by the other thing I want to add is that this is for senior veterans who have an total income of $60,000 or under a year. So it's intended to get to your, especially the middle income families, from about $40,000 to $60,000.
Any questions? Moving along to page 5, Bill 4918. Mr. Catch.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Bill 4918, last year the state legislature enacted legislation to allow the subdivisions to give up to a $2,500 credit to public safety officers. And what this particular legislation does is it phases in the credit, $1,500 for this year, $2,000 for next, and $2,500 for every year after that. We, Anne Arundel and Howard counties have both enacted this legislation. Anne Arundel County has the full $2,500 credit. Howard County has $1,250 for the first year, then $2,500 every year after that. I have the application if you're interested to see what the application looks like in Howard County. The legislation would cover police, and first of all, of course, I think that this particular legislation will help recruitment. Because the people who are interested in becoming policemen, firemen, et cetera, would know that they're eligible for this property tax credit if they're going to live in Baltimore County. In communities where local police live are safer because of the knowledge that a policeman lives there. If the policeman is allowed to bring his or her car, it is even more effective. It affects the sheriff's office, the fire department, and it also includes the volunteer fire companies. A huge amount of my district is covered by volunteer fire companies, and in order to qualify for it, they have to earn 50 credits a year in the LOSAP program, which is the retirement program for volunteer firemen. It is going to be a tremendous help to them when they're trying to recruit volunteers. And by the way, I understand that large percents of our police and fire department employees do not live in Baltimore County. And if we can encourage them to come back into Baltimore County through this tax credit, I think we'll be the better for it. As far as correction officers, it applies to them, and we all know the difficulty we've had in attracting them and especially keeping correctional officers. So this particular legislation, the first year where the credit is $1,500, the fiscal note is $3.1 million. Fiscal year 20 is 4.2, and then the annual credit starting in FY21 is $5.3 million. I think this is a good investment in our first responders. There's no doubt that the last few days are a perfect example of how important they are to our community. Mr. Chairman, if anyone has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions or comments? Yes, Councilwoman Bevis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We just started talking about this bill today, and so I'm just curious. Well, I'd like to make a few comments first. First, we have no recruitment issues with police and fire. That has been confirmed by both the fire and police department. We have no recruitment issues. Sometimes we have 1,000 to 1,500 applicants a year for each one of those public safety agencies, and only 25 to 50 were actually accepted into class. So let's just set the record straight. There are no recruitment issues with our police and fire. Second, I'm just wondering how important this is. I'm just making I'm just noticing something today. FOP, not here today? Okay. 1311, not here today? Pardon me? You're representing everyone today? Are you John Ripley too? Okay, just checking. So you're fire and police today? I'm sorry, so are you representing FOP? Yes. So that's why they're not here? I would just think that they would be here to talk about how important this legislation is to them. So I just want to clear that up for the recruitment. You talked about that earlier, and I know that's an untrue statement. We do not have a recruitment issue for fire and police. I know we have it for corrections.
Yes.
And I know we have it for 911, but we do not have it for police and fire.
Volunteers as well.
And for volunteers, I agree with that as well.
I think the point is, especially with the police, is that it would be so beneficial to the county if they were to live in the county and live in our communities.
I
believe, did you say over half the police don't live in Baltimore
That's correct.
County?
That's correct.
So
60% of the police officers live outside of Baltimore
So if we
County.
can encourage them to come back into Baltimore County, it would be good for
Do you think they're going to sell their
neighborhoods.
homes in PA and Anne Arundel County and
I
Hartford County
I
and come back?
sincerely hope they sell them in Pennsylvania because they tie up Route
83.
83.
I agree with that.
With about 5 years ago, about 16,000 trips a day. It's a mess.
Right.
So hopefully they'll move back from Pennsylvania.
I think it's a nice incentive for
Yep.
people that are applying for police and fire. I just don't know if it's, it's not a recruitment issue, but I think it's an incentive.
For some, it's recruitment.
For some, I would agree with that.
Yeah. And Mr. Weston did contact me and said because of the delays, because of the death of the officer, that they could not be here today.
Okay.
They had but they are in full support and have said that they will be contacting members of the council in that regard.
Any more questions before we get to the speakers? We'll start with Doug Simpkins. Then Chuck Bollinger, you can come and be ready when the on-deck circle.
Mr. Council Chairman and respective council members, my name is Doug Simpkins. I'm a lifetime member of the Arbutus Volunteer Fire Department, southwestern Baltimore County. I would like to speak a few moments on Bill 49-18, the tax credit. Used as a recruitment and retention program, such as each of you do in your respective communities for re-election and campaigning, is to invest in the future for our public safety. Now, there was just a question arrived by Ms. Bevins regarding recruitment. We are seeing a decline in recruitment in the volunteer fire service. The career department, the police department, you all pay them. So they're looking for jobs. We're volunteers. We're looking for people. This also will allow tax savings to the county by keeping volunteers providing emergency services to county citizens. As a 48-year veteran of the Baltimore County Volunteer Firemen's Association, I also represent Baltimore County on the Maryland State Firemen's Association Executive Board. We witness on a daily basis the work of volunteers in the public safety sector. Enhancements to their well-being, specifically in Baltimore County, is appreciated. As stated earlier, major jurisdictions are making strides to maintain personnel in their jurisdiction. The Baltimore County Fire Service is the national model for cooperation between career and volunteer fire service personnel working under Chief Price. Thanks to Councilman Tom Quirk for his personal phone call to the Arbutus Volunteer Fire Department, thanking those volunteer members who spent 12 to 16 hours handling emergencies regarding the most recent rain and flooding conditions. Finally, thank you for your time and efforts of work to the citizens of Baltimore County, and particularly your support of the Baltimore County career and volunteer firefighters and EMS personnel who reside in your respective districts. Thank you for your time.
Councilman Quirk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and did want to thank Doug Simpkins, great friend, does a lot of wonderful work in Arbutus, and just have nothing but respect for what you do every day. And a big shout out to our lands down at Arbutus, volunteers, our career firefighters, 'cause they work around the clock. I mean, really did work around the clock in this crazy amount of flood and waters, and so can't thank you guys enough. The first responders, our police, our volunteers, our career, our public safety crews. I mean, we just, I'll tell you, we do have first quality in Baltimore County, truly, and everybody was out there working around the clock. So I did want to just thank you, and please extend our really sincere thanks to all the guys in the volunteer station as well.
It's been a very tough 72 hours for public safety and service in Baltimore County. We appreciate your support. If there's anything you can do, and you need us, 911, it gets us. Thank
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Doug. A lot of people may not know, or maybe you do know, Doug and I are both retirees from the Anne Arundel County Fire Department. Sure. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Council Chairman and Council members. My name is Chuck Bollinger, and I am the Chief of the Hereford Volunteer Fire Company and a past president of the Baltimore County Volunteer Firemen's Association. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to take the time to speak with you a few moments today. And we as an association are asking for your all support of this bill. As it's been spoken before, recruitment and retention is a big issue for volunteerism, and that volunteerism is on the decline nationally. In Baltimore County, when someone turns 60, if they have 25 years in, they are entitled to a LoSAP payment or a retirement payment. However, for 20-year-olds and the folks that we're getting out of high school and such, the thought of something at 60 doesn't mean a lot to them. And after several years, they do get a Maryland tax incentive. I believe it's 3 years in a row of getting the points that they need. But this would be a great benefit to the list of benefits that we give out. What we see a lot of, and as you've spoken earlier about the police department, is they grow up with us and then they move out of our area, and we lose that resource. We have them through college when they come home, and they can't afford to build in northern Baltimore County or in the county in general, and they move elsewhere. So this would not necessarily make them all buy in Baltimore County, but it certainly would be an incentive for them to do so. I want to shift gears just a moment and talk just a minute about the benefits of volunteer fire service. As you all know, in September we get a big check at the banquet that's last year was $9.1 million, and I believe it's set to be $9.8 million this year. But if you compare that to putting career stations in to replace that workload, you're looking in the neighborhood of about $60 million. And that was from a third-party report that was done a few years ago. And I also want to point out that $2.4 million of that $9 million is paid out for EMS responders to respond on volunteer units. So we are supplementing the emergency medical services with our volunteer units. The other thing that the volunteers are very helpful in is expanding in the time of need. As we spoke this weekend, Arbutus had several swiftwater teams up and available. Kingsville did the same thing and supplemented the career department. We also provide tankers, tanker supports, and confined space and collapse teams. In closing, I would just like to ask that on behalf of the Baltimore County Volunteer Firemen's Association, you support this bill, and thanks again for your time, and take care.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Mr. John Quirk.
Good afternoon, Chairman Jones, members of the County Council. My name is John Quirk. I'm indeed privileged to be the Secretary-Treasurer of Baltimore County Professional Firefighters Association, Local 1311. I guess sitting here testifying and rather than belabor some of the stuff that was already introduced in Councilman Koch's bill regarding the history, I won't belabor that part with you today because it seems like you've had a long day already. But one of the things, since being signed, the bill by Governor Hogan, Baltimore City, Anne Arundel, Howard have passed bills providing a tax credit, and other jurisdictions are considering introduction of this. We'd like to thank Councilman Koch for recognizing the effort and sacrifice of public safety personnel in Baltimore County and for acknowledging the benefit that this property tax credit would be on a number of fronts. Quite frankly, too often, as I know was mentioned about the recruitment, too often our new firefighters, unfortunately, do not come all from Baltimore County, but from other counties and states. And for them, it's difficult for new hires to afford property in Baltimore County. Yet these are the exactly kind of the people that we should want living in Baltimore County. We cannot put a fire station or a police station on every corner, but the next best thing is having highly trained firefighters and police officers as your next door neighbors. And while county-wide callbacks are rare events, one does not have to look too far into the past to see examples of emergencies in which it would benefit to have more career firefighters living within the borders of the county, close at hand, ready to respond. We believe that a property tax credit for firefighters and police officers will be a valuable tool, the very important thing that makes it possible for Baltimore County firefighters to start and raise families here rather than in southern Pennsylvania and other counties. Nearly every career department in the media area is hiring seemingly nonstop. We actually compete for these employees. Being one of the first to offer this property tax credit will continue to help Baltimore County stay among the area leaders as it pertains to overall compensation and benefits. That's the way we look at it, not so much as a recruitment, but as a retention to keep people here. With these thoughts in mind, it appears that Council Bill is closer to fulfilling the ideas set forth in the enabling legislation, House Bill 979, passed in 2017, as it is inclusive, including our comrades from the volunteer ranks, our police officers, sheriffs, corrections, and sheriffs. I think maybe I'll say that again, sorry. We are, of course, prepared to work with the administration, council, as you begin deliberation and are available before, during, and after scheduled work sessions. In the end, we want to see that a sensible bill is passed one that honors the commitment and sacrifice of hardworking men and women of the volunteer and career fire service. On behalf of the nearly 1,000 members, actually 1,010 members of IFF Local 1311, we respectfully request a favorable vote on Council Bill 4918. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councilman Quirk.
Just real briefly, like I was saying to Doug Simpkins, I can't tell you how many texts and emails I got from residents that live in Baltimore County just thanking the firefighters for pumping out their basements. I mean, they must have been just one after the other, but also appreciate our relationship. I think you've been a great resource as well as Doug, especially really know what the issues are with the firefighters and really what things we can improve upon and work on together. So I do appreciate working closely with you and Doug.
Thank you, Tom.
Councilman Marks.
Certainly want to echo everything Councilman Quirk said. Also publicly thank Kingsville for their wonderful work on Saturday night.
Any additional questions, comments?
Was that Sunday night?
I will I'm trying to resist. I feel somewhat compelled. I can't help but wonder sometimes that I worked for 30 years in the fire department. My pay, my benefits, my pension, my salary, it all came from the goose that laid a golden egg, and that goose is the tax base. So sometimes I wonder whether or not it's a good idea to mess with the tax base. And sometimes I wonder whether it's morally correct to say, I'm going to get these benefits from that pile of taxes, but I don't want to pay my share. Because whenever you give a tax break, it falls on everyone else to make it up. Every other person in the community. Not to take away from anybody's job or what they do, but it's just something I think about. And I've known a lot of volunteers who work very, very hard. And they give their time, they dedicate, they basically put their lives on the line to provide a service to the community. And I'm very supportive of them. On that note, we're going to move on to the last bill, page 7, Bill 51-18. Mr. Crandall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bill 5118 amends the county code pertaining to the vesting of residential development plans to permit additional time for construction of a vested plan that receives growth allocation. This bill will be specific to an approved development plan in the 7th District. It does not affect any other properties in the district. The property in question, the development plan in question, was something that the community and the property owner back in the mid-2000s had spent probably a couple years and a lot of negotiations getting to the point of coming up with a development that everyone could live with. So we checked with DEPS, that administers the critical area program for Baltimore County, and we also checked with PAI, and we have letters of support to grant the extension from the communities that are where the property exists, and those are the Holly Neck Conservation Association and the Back River Community Association. Both sent letters of support to have us grant this extension. I'd appreciate my colleagues' support. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Moving right along to page 45, Resolution 46-18. Mr. Quirk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 46-18 simply amends the boundary of the Baltimore National Pike Commercial Revitalization District just slightly. And it's just working with an existing investor, trying to incentivize them to continue to revitalize Route 40, and just ask my colleagues for the consideration.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, moving on to 47-18. Mr. Quirk. Oh, no, we'll do that next time. I think this will conclude our work session today. I want to thank everybody for coming. Have a safe trip home.